Bengal fans, welcome to the podcast. ISU Athletic Director. It's the second week of school. Really excited to be here. I have our head track and field coach and the director of track and field as well, Hillary Merkley, with me. Hillary, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Really good to have Hillary with us. Hillary is an alumnus of the university, ran track for us, is a Hall of Fame member. Lives here, has coached at a lot of other places, came here as an assistant coach, is now our head coach, and we're really excited to have you with us. Appreciate having you here. Appreciate that you chose to be a Bengal. Why don't you kind of start with us today and tell us a little bit about you, your personal side of things, and let's maybe talk about how you came to be a Bengal.
Okay, well, probably started with my siblings. I come from a large family. So I have 7 sisters and 2 brothers, and actually a couple of my sisters were attending Idaho State University when I was looking at colleges. One of them was a former track athlete here, and so she was on the track team, and I was actually looking to play basketball in college, wanted to play ball, and had pursued that and came to ISU after looking at different options and decided to try out for the basketball team. So I had family ties and connections to Idaho State and people that had good experiences here previously. So tried to play basketball and ended up having a knee injury that ended basketball for me. So looked into some other options, decided to come back to Idaho State just because of the educational piece, and decided to give up athletics and just wanted to focus on school, and I knew I could get a good education here at Idaho State. So came back, and then I sat out a semester and was recovering from my knee injury and was like, this sucks. I hate not doing anything, and I want to be competitive, and I knew that I wanted to get into education and athletics at the high school level, and so I thought, why not just try out for the track team? My sister had competed with the throws coach here, Kim Hyatt at the time, and ended up talking to Kim and saying, hey, I want to walk on. So I walked on as a thrower. That was probably the event that I was the least bad at when I looked at the events and thought, what could I be competitive in? And I really couldn't be competitive in anything, but that was my stronger point, I guess. My first year, I did not qualify for conference in the shot put, and then they kind of had heard that I'd run 400, 800 in high school, so they put me in multi-events. And I ended up just getting a little bit better each year, and they gave me a little bit of money the next year to come back, probably because I had good grades, and did a little bit of things, and I just got better and better, ended up earning a scholarship and having a really great learning experience under Coach Dave Nielsen, who was here, and got my undergrad degree in secondary education, and then ended up staying and getting a master's degree here because I had an opportunity to do a GA position and got into coaching, and left for a while and did some other things, and taught and in Boise for several years, and then had the opportunity to come back and be an assistant coach and continue my education, and got a master's in mental health counseling. So those things, the education piece has always kind of brought me back to maybe Idaho State, and while I was getting that education opportunities athletically, I pursued them, and then doors opened and just was able to have that education experience as well.
So thinking back to your time as a student athlete here, I'm sure you've got a top 5 of your favorite moments or most memorable moments. Can you think of one of those that you'd share with us today, a great moment in your time as a student athlete here?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that probably one of the biggest things, or a highlight for me that was a reward or a payoff maybe for things that I'd done, was when I was offered a scholarship, because I was an out-of-stater. I come from a large family. Financing my education was somewhat challenging, and I loved participating in sports, and so I pursued that, but I didn't know that I would ever really earn money to help pay for my education. So I think that was probably like year 2 in, so I'd completed 2 years without a lot of help financially and not a lot athletically, and then I was offered a scholarship that helped cover a good portion of that, and that was probably, I would say, a highlight, because it was your hard work's paid off for all those years, and somebody recognizes that you have something to offer, and they give you that, and that was a big accomplishment, I think, for me, just to be able to be a part of the team and be a contributing member that was a part of the team.
Well, a contributing member that has also been inducted into the ISU Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on that? Because that's huge.
Yeah, that came after my time at ISU. I was out of school about 10 years. Really, my senior year, I remember like having goals to we used to fill out a goal sheet that was, what's your dream goal? And my dream goal was, if I could do anything I wanted from the time I was a kid, compete at a national level, like go to the Olympics, and that's every track and field person's dream, but the reality is that's not a big one. But I wanted to be able to compete at a national level. That was my dream goal, and I improved a ton. I went from being a walk-on who couldn't make it to conference to being a conference champion and having some school records, which was more than what I had ever thought I would ever be able to do. But it wasn't still my dream goal, so I kind of left ISU feeling disappointed in myself that I didn't accomplish everything I wanted to. And 10 years later, like looking back, it was like, you did a lot of good things, Hillary. Like, do I need to be sad about that? But I did feel sad about it. And then when they chose me to be inducted, I think I cried because I just felt like, man, all these years I felt unsatisfied of what I accomplished and that I didn't accomplish enough. And then to have that honor, which seems a little bit out there, for me, I was very humbled by that.
Yeah.
So that was neat. I think one thing perspective-wise that I've noticed or learned since is that the process is just as important as the end destination, and I think I try to teach that a little bit to my athletes now, that you have these goals, and it's good to have those goals, but I really did accomplish a lot of things that were good. I just maybe didn't get my end result necessarily that I had wanted, but a lot of great opportunities and honors that people have noticed and recognized,
yeah.
And that's been nice.
That's great. Well, and for all of our listeners and viewers, the Hall of Fame committee, which consists of only Hall of Fame members themselves, they're the ones that determine who is inducted to the Hall of Fame. And I'm part of that committee, and Steve's part of that committee, but we're non-voting members. We're just there to provide information, background, and that sort of thing. And as a feather in Hillary's cap, you can't be inducted until you've been graduated for 10 years, and you came right on that 10-year, which rarely happens.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, there's a 3-year window where maybe you're not voted in the first year, you're voted in the second or the third. You were voted right away as soon as your name came in. So your fellow Hall of Famers think very, very highly of you. So congratulations.
Thank you. That's nice.
So now as our head coach, you spent some time as an assistant coach at Kansas State, spent some time as a head coach in the Boise area, spent some time as an assistant here, now the head here. What are your biggest goals moving forward? What are some of the keys that you want to accomplish, and how will you get there?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been able to see some other programs and how some other programs work and do things, and I've learned a lot by doing and trial and error. Being an assistant coach, there is a lot of challenging things that I know that the former coaches that were here before faced in terms of just like small coaching staff, big teams, being able to, finance different things and do some fundraising type things. I think that the program grew a lot from even the time that I was here as an athlete. The things that I came back into and the things in the department, just like we used to buy our own shoes. We used to even buy our own uniforms. When I was on the team, we stayed in, kind of some low budget hotels, I would say. But there was a lot of good memories with that stuff. But when I came back as an assistant coach years later, we were sponsored by Adidas. Kids didn't have to buy their own shoes, their training shoes or their competition shoes. So I've seen like just a lot of progress in the department overall, and so that was like exciting as an assistant coach. And then still looking around, just seeing things that how could we do this better. I think for me, when I took over as the head coach, one thing I knew is that if I'm going to be able to do this job, I need to surround myself with other people who complement or bring something to the table that maybe I don't have. And I think we've been able to have some great assistant coaches step in. Coach Nate Hool has helped out on the cross country side and brings a lot of things there that he's somebody that I rely on a lot and his expertise in that area. And then to have Coach Litt from Bulgaria come in, and he's coached a lot of different places and has a lot of outside experience that he brings in. This year, being able to bring in Dan Walker, who has been a mentor and helped me a ton in developing things, just ideas and how to be able to be a head coach, and to have him come and now work for me is also humbling because he has so much knowledge and expertise. But I know that if I want to be successful, surround yourself with other successful people. And so I think developing a good coaching staff has been huge because they bring a lot of things that help us be successful, and they also help with managing those 80 or so, 80 plus or minus athletes that we deal with, and they do a great job. So I think developing a good environment for kids to learn and have success and have positive role models is probably a goal of mine. I think the reason I do the job is because of relationships that you develop with athletes, and one reason, well, probably the main reason why I like this position, to be able to meet kids of lots of different backgrounds to help steer them in a direction to get an education and a good quality athletic experience and be able to go off and do other things. I think those are goals that I have, and I think as we do some of those things, having a successful program and have us improve in our performance on the track and field is also a goal of ours. And I'm excited this year to see where it goes, because we have a lot of new kids coming in. We've filled a lot of holes in some event areas that we haven't had. We've lost some good kids, but we have a lot of good kids coming in, and we're excited about the group that we have.
That's good. Well, I'm excited about your new assistant coach. Many of you may not know, Coach Dan Walker was actually an assistant coach when I was running track and field in college, and I have a soft spot in my heart for him, as does my wife. He's a great mentor and a great friend, and so happy. He was one of those guys where, you know, every time I saw him, which was 2-3 times a year, I'd have a hug for him. Now that I see him every other day, the hugs are gone, because that would be weird to hug every other day. But sure is nice to have him here.
Yeah, him and I cut down on those too since he started, because we'd see each other at meets and always hug, and I know his wife well, and so we've had a good relationship. But now we're co-workers, so we don't hug every single day, but he has plenty of hugs to give out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good. Yesterday I had the chance to come into your first team meeting of the year. You went through a lot of the important pieces for the team. You talked about how you earned a scholarship, and yesterday one of your student athletes was actually announced that they received a scholarship, one that they weren't really expecting. Can you talk about that scholarship for us, and then about the individual?
Yeah, so this is the second year that we have done that scholarship. It's the Jackie Polson Memorial Scholarship. Jackie Polson was actually a former teammate of mine, and then also was an assistant coach here, and her place was the position that I came and filled. So big shoes for me to fill after her passing, but they set up a scholarship fund. The intent of that scholarship was to reward people who have worked hard and made progress on the athletic field and in the classroom. And last year was the first year that we awarded that scholarship, and Dan Garz was the recipient of that. Dan came here as a walk-on on the team and ended up earning a small scholarship, and then was a contributing member and scoring points for the team, and he received that award last year. This year went on to take second in indoors in the 800, a pretty tough event to take second place in, and outdoors he came in with great times as well, ended up fifth because it's just a competitive field outdoors, but scored big points for us on the men's side, and then advanced to the regionals. So Dan was our first person to receive that. Our person that we awarded it to this year was Christian Brininger. And I kind of said this in the meeting yesterday, but Chris was somebody who, the first day of practice, I was in the weight room lifting with him, and I was lifting with the kids, and I could outlift Chris in some of the main Olympic lifts. And I'm not in the best shape of my life. So he was pretty terrible, to be honest. And he's a guy that's a giant. And so it was, it's been cool to watch him just grow in the weight room, learned how to lift, got more coordinated, worked in the weight and the hammer, and last year scored points in the weight and hammer after a hard academic program that he's in. So he's had to balance school and practice, and sometimes miss practices, and sometimes practice on his own and be accountable on his own, and he's followed through with those things, and that's paid off. And so we're just knew that he was somebody deserving of a scholarship, fit the criteria for that particular scholarship, and he was pretty excited yesterday. I think he told me thank you like 5 or 6 times after the meeting was over. So just a great kid and very appreciative, and has earned that. So.
Very nice kid. And walking down the sidewalk, you would easily confuse him for an offensive lineman on the football team. He's bigger than most of those guys. He has spent some good time in the weight room.
We took the picture of all of us after, and it's just like us little people and this big, huge giant over the rest of us. So
and now he's working on a master's degree, correct?
I think I'm not sure where he's at in his. He finished up his bachelor's, and then maybe his started
graduate work.
Yeah. And his bachelor's was tough. I mean, he was in classes 8 to 5, and then having to practice after that. So, he's just plugging along. So
good. And then I'll let you talk about the next one. Another award that one of your student athletes received, the second Bengal ever to receive it. It's a national award. Let you go again.
Yeah, it's called the Scholar Baller Award, and it's an award given to somebody who has shown academic progress throughout their time at ISU. Shayla Henderson came in her freshman year and didn't maybe have the best grades of anyone on her team. We have a lot of really high GPAs, and but she's somebody who is persistent and worked hard, and she's improved her academics. And I think Matt Stewart said that she was the first person that was a first team all academic for that award. So something that's a pretty big deal, and I originally thought it was just something for the department, but it's a much bigger deal that she was selected. Somebody from Idaho State was selected, and somebody on the track and field team was selected. It's the first time that we've had that in the track and field program.
Yeah, a national award. I think we'd had an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Never a first team member. So it's pretty exciting. A lot of good things going for the track and field program now.
Yeah, a lot of good kids and that work hard.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good. So for most of our viewers, the fall is preparation time, except for the cross-country team for track. It's a lot of preparation. What kind of things are they doing right now preparing for the indoor season? Yeah,
so we actually start our practice season next Tuesday. We will be out just doing conditioning, basically basic conditioning, and get in the weight room and get kids acclimatized to the weights. And then after about 3 weeks, then we'll start doing some technique type work and implementing that into their training, a little bit more technique. With the weather here, we kind of get into cold weather before we can actually move indoors with football continuing on. So as it gets colder, we go back to some conditioning type training, and then as soon as we get to move indoors, we hit it hard with the technique prior to Christmas break. And then once we get back from Christmas break, we're rolling into the indoor season. So kind of a ebb and flow. We hit conditioning, we hit technique, we come back to conditioning, then we hit technique hard again. But the kids are excited. They've been out there practicing and doing stuff on their own. They come in every day and get my keys and say, hey, can I get a high jump bar? We want to jump a little bit today. And they're excited and anxious to get started.
That's fun to see them. They are chomping at the
Yeah.
bit. They really are. Well, are you going to run them into the ground on that first day then, or are you going to wait until day 2?
I think we're going to probably surprise sneak attack with we'll kind of ease them into it, but when our easing into it for some of them might be for some of them it will be easing in, and for others it'll be a little bit of a challenge. We got a lot of new kids coming into the program. Probably over half of our kids are new kids, and so it'll be interesting to see how well they adjust, because they're coming from different programs, and some transfer kids and a lot of freshman kids. So we'll see where people kind of fall. We'll ease them in easy the first week, because we only have 4 days that first week after Labor Day, and then the next week will probably be a little bit more challenging for them, but that'll be good. It'll be good for them.
Good. Well, last thing, and before we close, it's a good plug for you.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a fundraiser coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I heard about it a little bit yesterday. One of your athletes actually came to my office to sell me tickets, which I bought today.
Yeah.
So here's your plug for everyone else listening.
Yeah, so we had a few kids trying to sell them before they even got out of the door yesterday. So we have a Bengal barbecue that we do every year, and we do some tailgating. This year we're doing it October 7th, and tickets are $10. We have a lot of people that buy tickets and come out and actually eat. We'll have a meal for them and everything, and they get to kind of mingle with the track kids. And I think my assistant coach asked me yesterday actually to just stand around and be charming. So I think that's going to be my role, but it'll take a little bit of work. Then yeah, a lot of people also just will give donations to the program at that time as well. So we accept donations, and at the same time we prefer to have people come and eat with us, and so kids will be selling those tickets. That's a way for us to help supplement their gear and the things that we give to them, and it's just kind of a fun activity that we get to kind of do together, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, always nice to get your kids, athletes, in front of alumni and boosters. So,
Yep, absolutely.
Good one. Well, good. We appreciate having you on today. Many of you may or may not know, we were supposed to begin a construction project this past May, June timeframe, to put in a new track. We ran into a couple of hurdles with the state and fell behind by a few months, and so we had to put it on hold. In the spring we'll start it again. New track with some new seating and drains in the track, around the track for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And really excited about that, and that should add a lot to both your recruiting and your competition.
Yeah, we're
preparation.
really excited about the track. I think that construction never goes as it's supposed to.
No, it doesn't.
And there's always delays, and there's a lot of, we share that facility with soccer, so working around soccer season and track season, I think some of those delays were put off because that's going to be what's best for soccer and their training, and then in addition what's going to be best for us and our training. So I think waiting is the best option at this point that we have, and we've kind of dealt with it as we were able, but it's been in the works and people are working hard to make it happen, and the kids are excited and anxious for it to come about. It'll be great once we get it in place.
Well, exciting times. We're looking forward to that one. Hillary, we appreciate you joining us. Our head track and field coach, Hall of Famer, Bengal athlete. Appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you.
For all of our fans, reminder, tomorrow, Thursday, is the first home football game of the year. Excited about that. As Coach Fennessy put it, their guys are just excited to hit somebody else besides themselves. So game is at 6:30. We've got 2 soccer matches this weekend. Friday against Utah State, and then Sunday against Texas El Paso. And then Monday, volleyball plays their first home match of the year against Utah Valley University. So a lot of opportunities to come out and support your Bengals. Please come and yell and wear your black and orange and enjoy and do all of the things that we would love you to do. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time and your support, and go Bengals.